Why, hello folks! Today we're going to be looking at the new Tenet Flux Rifle. Now, this is a weapon that I wasn't like super hype about, moving into Sisters of Pharaohs, just because the normal Flux Rifle is a very underwhelming weapon. It was like the first beam weapon that they ever designed, so we figured it was time for an upgrade. So okay, so the question is, this new Flux Rifle, is it any good? Is it worth farming for? Is this the new meta? I'm gonna say it's not the new meta. It definitely has its uses, and it's a fun, nasty little weapon. But is it like the best of the Tenet weapons? No, it's not. It's not, but it's kind of cool. We're gonna go through it, and you can form your own opinion about like just how to use it and how to build it, and if you think it looks good or not. So, first up, what is this thing? Well, the Flux Rifle is a beam weapon. This is not a beam weapon. They've changed it so that it is instead a projectile weapon. See? Fires like a machine gun. With ammo and stuff. So it's different from the normal Flux Rifle. Okay. So is that good? Well, let's see. That looks pretty good, right? Right? I mean, it took a while, but they died. So I can do this. Okay, I'm just unloading a bit on it, and then I'm looking away. And now I'm building up my stacks on my primary merciless, so not even at full stack yet. Once I am at full stack, though, which I am now. Now, let's look at this. Brap. Dead. Brap. Dead. Brap. Maybe that was too small of a brap. Yeah, too small of a brap. There we go. Bit of a faster brap. So, as you can see here, like, I only... Once you get up there in those numbers, and I do not even have a max rank primary merciless, you can basically just do this. And things just start dying. Now obviously you need to have it like a little bit more focused, so maybe we're gonna do this. So it's not like exactly a single target weapon, because it fires so fast and it spreads so many slash procs that like just you don't have to hit any single enemy that many times to kill them. So it actually does melt things at a considerably fast rate. Now, the problem is that the reason why it's doing this may be due to a bug. It's something that may be adjusted, because there's a certain mod that seems to be working a bit wonky with this weapon right now. Let's go into the build and I'll explain how I built it and just, what's neat about it. So, as you can see on this weapon, it has an insanely high status chance with this build I have. Ridiculous. And it doesn't make any sense from the mods. But if I just remove this Flux Overdrive mod, then it goes back to a normal number of 26, which is, where it's supposed to be at. So the Flux Overdrive is a mod that's designed specifically for the Flux Rifle. And it increases status chance fluctuating while the beam is fired. But the thing is, this isn't a beam weapon. They changed this to being like a rifle instead. So it's not a continuous beam. So this mod seems to work a bit different here. And like what you would think would happen is that since it fluctuates between 150% and 250%, the mean would be something like 200% on average. So you'd think that the effect would just be like, plus 200% status chance when you equip this on the Tenet Flux Rifle instead. But plus 200% status chance should put the number at around 75% here in total, because it starts at like 26. But that's not what you get. You get 130, which is like twice that. So it seems to be giving you like 400% status chance instead of 200% status chance, which is weird. So currently this mod is providing way more status chance than it's supposed to. We'll see if this is intended or not. Hard to tell. But as it is, that means this thing has a massive status chance. So what that means is, nowadays, if you have more than 100% status chance, that means that every hit has a chance to do 2 status procs. And they still go by priority based on your damage output. So since I have a 368 damage in total, and around, 40% of the damage is viral, which means every shot has a 40% chance to do like a viral proc. And then it's like a smaller chance of slash proc and whatnot. But the thing about this, with a fire rate, right? 23 shots per second. Like, yeah, sure, the majority of procs are viral procs. And it caps at 10. But, like, look at how fast you're building slash procs with this. If I just shoot for like 3 seconds or so. 1, 2, 3. Those are up to like 40 slash procs. I saw on the screen before he died. Let's do 2 seconds. 1, 2. That's 29 slash procs. What about this one? 1 second. 26 slash procs. So, don't worry about it. Don't worry about, oh no, I'm not doing enough slash procs because it's not enough slash damage. Don't worry about it. You're gonna do enough slash procs. Just so people understand how it works with status chance. What sort of status proc you're gonna do is based on how much damage you do. So, with this weapon, I'm 10 times more likely to create a viral proc than I am to create a puncture proc, because I have 10 times more viral damage. But that's fine. It's fine. When you do the slash proc, you still want that slash proc to deal a bunch of damage. So I do want to ramp up my total damage as much as I can too. So I want to chuck in something like primed cryo rounds. I want to chuck in stuff that just bumps up my damage to the big numbers. I've seen some builds where you do something like this. You take an unranked rhyme rounds or something, so that it's weighted more towards slash than it is toward viral. But in order to make that happen, you have to like slice your damage output in half to do that. I mean, it works. You'll get more slash procs, sure, so it's still gonna work. That's fine. But then you get to like just, I don't know, enemies that are sort of like just status immune, stuff like that. It's gonna be fine either way. It's just gonna be big old chunk of damage. Don't worry about it. So, because you do want viral damage in there, because it increases your damage output by just debuffing enemies so they take more damage, it is quite important to get a flux rifle that has innate toxin damage. So you can combine toxin damage with cold damage to do viral. It's hard to do that with modding, as it is. Because it's kind of tight. You need all of these parts. Definitely need galvanized chamber. Definitely need crit chance and crit damage. If you want to, you can maybe instead of point strike, maybe you can use something like critical delay instead. But I kind of like having a high fire rate on this thing. It's fine either way. Both are going to do about the same. You need hunter munitions because you want even more slash procs on your crits. You need vigilante supplies because you want better crits since you crit all the time. You do want the prime tread. I pretty much think this one is mandatory for both for the fire rate and for the punch through to help you hit more targets. So it's not just a single target weapon, but it can deal damage in a big group and kill a bunch of different enemies. You can shoot right through them. The way modding is going to work moving forward since you want to stack different damage types together, if you have a max rank primary merciless, the damage output on this thing kind of actually means that serration becomes redundant, because you're just stacking the same damage type again. So the meta for modding weapons moving forward is, if you have a max rank primary merciless, which I do not, I don't have that yet, I'm still farming for them, but if you do have a max rank primary merciless, then the correct thing to do when building your weapons is to remove serration. You don't need that anymore. It's not going to give you a big enough damage increase. Trust me on this, people. We've run the math. We've looked at it, and it's actually true. So, in that case, if you do have a primary merciless that is max rank, I would recommend you to instead have a flux rifle with innate heat damage. Because if you do, then you can instead simply mod for viral damage with primed cryo rounds or rhyme rounds. And malignant force. Get your, like this, get your viral damage this way. And then you can get viral plus heat, if you want to. As a different way of building the weapon. And, hey man, stacking a million billion heat procs on enemies is also quite a good way to deal damage to them. I don't know if you're aware of that, but it kind of works that way. So yeah, again, if you have a max rank primary merciless, then you are in fact supposed to chuck serration, because there are better things you can put in that slot in that case. And that opens up building this thing, makes it a lot easier to get like the status combinations that you want. Now, all that being said, the question is still like, should you be farming for this weapon? Is this weapon like something you should be hunting for? And I don't know, because it's cool, right? It's cool being able to just, you know, stack this many slash procs on enemies. But the question is still like, is this an efficient way of like just, you know, killing enemies at the speed we want to be killing enemies at? It is still a weapon where you kind of have to aim at every single enemy, get a couple of slash procs in them, and then move on to the next. So you still like one enemy, one enemy, one enemy, one enemy. Like, it's, the damage is definitely there. You're absolutely killing things with this weapon. Are you killing things fast enough? Because that's what everyone wants to know. Like, for example, here. Let's here, I'm just gonna put on my Zaw, because it's got Exodia Hunt. I can use it to group enemies together. So, let's compare it to something like my Catch Moon, for example. So if I just, come on, come on, there we go. Grouped everyone together. So my Catch Moon, I can just take the same group of corrupted heavy gunners, and then I'll just do like this. Well, not all of them. Let's fire 2 more shots. Yeah, there we go. Let's fire 1 more shot for good measure. It's like, this is kind of what weapons have to compete with nowadays. If you want them to sort of be good enough. And it is, like, even though it's cool, even though it's absolutely cool, the Flux Rifle, and it does the single target damage, which is nice that you want. You still have other weapons that can kill things like so much faster, and they hit like a larger area. That's the big sort of point of contention that people have sort of brought up, that it's not exactly a problem of guns versus melee, that melee are so much stronger. It's more of a problem of single target versus AoE. And melee weapons, you can swing in such a big area and you can like hit everyone in an entire room with your big two-handed sword or whatnot. And if you look at guns, like what's the meta? The meta is guns that can do big explosions over big areas. Stuff like the Exceltra, stuff like the Kuva Brahma, stuff like the Tenet Envoy or the Tenet Tetra, or stuff like the Catch Moon, where you can just do this. And everything just melts. So while the Tenet Flux Rifle is a really rad weapon, it's groovy, it's cool, it just can't do this. You just can't kill things as fast as some of the other guns that already exist in the game can do. Is it an upgrade from the normal Flux Rifle? Hell yeah, it is. It's a super big upgrade over the normal Flux Rifle. And is it fun to just spam slash procs in enemies and just watch their health tick down? Yeah, it's fun. It's cool. But I'm gonna rank this weapon somewhere in the middle of the pack when it comes to just what we want to be using today. As far as Tenet weapons go, it might unfortunately still stand out. Like, it might be the worst one. I don't know. I don't know if it's the worst one. We'll look at some of the secondary weapons as well and see how they stack up. But as far as the primary weapons go, yes, it is absolutely the worst Tenet primary weapon. It is competing with the Tenet Tetra, which, even though it just got nerfed and got its blast radius shrunk, it is still a powerful AoE weapon, which puts it ahead of this. The Archiplasmor is a monster. The Tenet Envoy is a monster. And the Flux Rifle is okay. It's okay. It's an okay gun. It's okay. It's okay. If you like the Flux Rifle, go get it. But just be aware that it's not the best Tenet weapon. And that's the review. Alright, I will see you guys tomorrow for something completely different.